Mark 1:35 tells us, "Very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed." Stop for a moment and think about that. Very early, while it was still dark, alone, just Jesus and God. Solitude, my friends, is far more than a quiet moment. It is a sacred place where we meet the real us. The version of ourselves that no one else sees. It is where we shed our masks, throw away our pretenses, and face the question every heart must ask: who am I, really? Here's the truth: you are not fully yourself when people are around. The real you shows up only in the stillness, in the quiet, when no one is watching, when no one is expecting anything from you. And even more, the real you is most revealed when you stand before God. Too often, we drift through life in a fog, unsure of who we are. We avoid the solitude that scares us because it demands honesty. But that quiet, that alone, with God moment, that is exactly what we need. And hear this: if Jesus needed it, if the Son of God felt the pull to withdraw, how much more do we, fragile humans, desperately need it? Yes, it will be difficult. Yes, it will be hard. Your mind will fight it, distractions will scream. But you have to start somewhere. We say we are too busy. Life is overwhelming. Work, family, responsibilities, everything pulls us in every direction. But listen, Luke 5:15 tells us about Jesus in the middle of chaos. The crowds were growing, pressing in from all sides. Demands never stopped. And yet he broke away. He still went to the quiet. That was his pattern. He refused to let busyness dictate his spiritual life. Think about us. How often does our time with God disappear first, when life gets full? Prayer, scripture, reflection, everything falls away. And why? Because we confuse being busy with being important. But Jesus shows us the opposite. Spiritual discipline wasn't optional for him, it was central. Solitude wasn't a luxury, it was a lifeline. 9 times in Luke alone, he stepped away. 9 times. Think about that. Quiet was his anchor, his source of strength, his well of guidance. So here's the burning question: if Jesus often withdrew, shouldn't we? If he, the Lord of all, recognized the need to reconnect with his farther away from the noise, how much more should we seek it? William Barclay said it perfectly. It may well be that the whole trouble in our lives is that we give God no opportunity to speak to us because we do not know how to be still and to listen. We give God no time to recharge us with spiritual energy and strength because there is no time when we wait upon him. How can we shoulder life's burdens if we have no contact with him, who is the Lord of all good life? The world is loud, constant. Notifications, chatter, pressure drown out the only voice that matters. God's voice. And here's the truth: the busier we get, the more urgent our withdrawal becomes. The more demands press in, the more we need that quiet space to realign, to refresh, to restore clarity. Without it, we drift, we get tired, confused, spiritually blind. Solitude transforms. It reveals the real you. It reconnects you to your purpose. It lets God speak, instruct, renew, and strengthen. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity. And yes, starting may feel weird. The silence may feel uncomfortable. Your mind may resist. But even 5 minutes of undistracted prayer, 10 minutes of quiet reflection before the day begins, that's a seed of clarity, a seed of strength. Over time it grows into a faith that cannot be shaken. Jesus shows us that withdrawal is not retreat. It's preparation. It sharpens vision, reinforces courage, renews spirit. The world may demand everything from you, but God demands your soul. If we do not create space to be alone with him, we carry life's weight without the strength he gives. And the danger is silent. It creeps in, weakens us, until we feel lost, overwhelmed, disconnected. The call is clear. Follow Jesus into the quiet. Seek the solitary place where you meet yourself and meet God. Listen. Let his presence cleanse, comfort, and guide. In those moments, you find strength to face chaos, clarity to navigate confusion, peace beyond understanding. The real you unmasked, renewed emerges in the stillness. Make solitude not a rare escape, but the rhythm of your life. If Jesus, the Master, valued it so deeply, Shouldn't it shape the rhythm of your heart too? Begin today. Just begin. Wake a little earlier. Step aside for a few minutes. Turn off the noise. Close the door. Be still. Wait. Listen. Reflect. Pray. Watch as God restores clarity, strength, and purpose. Solitude is not empty. It is full of God, and in that fullness you will discover yourself, your calling, the depth of a life anchored in Him. Hedonism. But distraction. That is the reality of our modern spiritual lives. Dallas Willard called hurry the great enemy of the spiritual life for the modern Western person. Pause and think about that. The constant rush. The endless to-do lists. The pressing demands. Willard identifies hurry as not just a minor obstacle, but the enemy itself. And Richard Foster, the great revivalist of spiritual formation in the American church, adds this insight: in contemporary society, our adversary, which is a biblical title for Satan, majors in three things: noise, hurry, and crowds. If he can keep us engaged in muchness and manyness, he will rest satisfied. Muchness, manyness. Isn't that what our lives feel like sometimes? Every day, filled with things pulling at us from all directions. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist, took it even further. He said hurry is not merely from the devil, it is the devil. Think about that. The frantic pace, the constant rush, the inability to pause, this is spiritual attack disguised as busyness. And what if the noisy, restless inner life we feel is not just a product of our distracted world, but an ancient human tendency? A tendency to get a step ahead of Jesus. To insist that we know the story, that we know the pace, that our spiritual growth should move at our schedule instead of His. I would argue this: if you feel like your spiritual life is stalled, like your growth is stagnant, a huge part of that may be the pace of life you're running at. Michael Zigurelli, a professor at Charleston Southern University, studied spiritual growth and the barriers that stop it. His findings are sobering. Christians are often assimilating into a culture of busyness, hurry, and overload. And what happens when we do that? God becomes marginalized in our lives. Our relationship with Him deteriorates. We feel distant, disconnected, empty, stressed, hurried. Overextended life does not produce the abundant life God desires. Ronald Rolheiser said it plainly: pathological busyness, distraction, and restlessness are major roadblocks today on our spiritual lives. Pathological busyness. That is strong, but it is real. So if you feel your spiritual growth has been stunted, like God seems far away, like you cannot connect no matter how hard you try, it is very likely that you are moving at a pace that is actually killing your relationship with Jesus. We need to slow down. We need to create space to hear God. But so often we do the exact opposite. We run from task to task, meeting to meeting, screen to screen, and then we wonder, God, why can't I hear your voice? We are too busy to pause, too busy to reflect, too busy to listen. Yet this is precisely where our spiritual formation is sabotaged. Solitude, stillness, quiet. These are not optional. They are the lifeblood of growth. Imagine a marathon runner, obsessed with his time, obsessed with not stopping. He thinks, I don't have time for water, I can't slow down. And what happens? By mile 14, his muscles cramp. By mile 18, he stumbles. By mile 22, he can no longer continue, has to be pulled off the track. This is us spiritually. We rush through life, ignoring the water stations God sets up for us, the quiet moments, the prayer, the reflection, the time to be alone with Him. And then we wonder why we are exhausted, why we falter, why our faith feels weak. Here's the truth: our hurried, noisy, distracted life is not neutral. It is dangerous. It strangles spiritual growth, drowns out God's voice, leaves us tired, anxious, frustrated. But there is a remedy: stillness, solitude, slowing down, creating sacred space to meet God, to let Him, to guide, to refresh, to renew. Without this, spiritual formation is impossible. Solitude is not empty, it is full of God, and it transforms. In the quiet, your heart finds clarity. Your spirit finds strength. Your soul finds rest. You begin to hear the whisper of God amidst the chaos. You reconnect with your true self, the self hidden beneath the noise, the hurry, the endless demands, the self-Jesus designed to flourish. Start small. Even 5 minutes in the morning. 10 minutes of quiet reflection before the day begins. Step aside from the chaos. Turn off notifications, close the door, sit still. Listen, wait, pray. Watch as God restores your rhythm, your focus, your clarity. Watch as He renews your spirit, strengthens your faith. If we keep running at this frantic pace, we will never experience the abundant life Jesus came to give. So slow down, step aside, stop, be still. Give God the chance to speak, to guide, to pour life back into your soul. Hurry is not just the enemy. It is a thief. It steals your joy, your clarity, your intimacy with God. But when you pause, when you rest, when you slow your pace, you discover the life God intended. You rediscover the depth, the peace, the purpose that comes from walking with Him at His pace. I don't have time to slow down. I don't have time to stop. I don't have time to pray. I don't have time to be still. I've got to keep running. And then we collapse. Spiritually, emotionally, mentally. That is the truth of modern life. But here's the secret. Solitude is not wasting time. It is not our luxury. It is a water station. It keeps you in the race. It restores your strength. It renews your soul. And Jesus said yes to solitude. Look at His life. The busier He became, the more high profile His ministry got. The more people depended on Him, the more He was in demand, the more He slipped away. He went off to be alone with the Father. He prioritized solitude above the noise. And what do? Don't we do the opposite? The busier we are, the more crammed our calendars become, the more everyone depends on us. That quiet, that solitude, that sacred silence, that is always the first thing to go. Always. And then we wonder why we feel empty, why we feel disconnected, why the voice of God seems distant. We remember who we are in Jesus when we take time to be alone with Him. If we do not, other voices get louder. Demands, opinions, pressures, they all rush in. They all drown out the voice of God. It is not easy. Let's be honest. Practicing silence and solitude is hard. There are always needs. There are always demands. Always. But this is where the spiritual life is born. This is where we are renewed. Henry Nouwen says it this way, and it hits hard: without solitude, it is virtually impossible to live a spiritual life. We do not take the spiritual life seriously if we do not set aside some time to be with God and listen to Him. Solitude is the one time in your day when no one will be expecting anything from you. When you are in solitude with God, He does not make those kinds of demands on you. He simply delights in you. He longs to be in your presence. Pause and think about that. No expectations, no demands, just God, just His delight, just His presence. Silence is more than quiet. It is a reversal of the world's way. The world says grasp, control, possess, maintain every detail of your life. But silence says let go. Let go of control. Let go of grasping. Let go of pretending you can hold it all together. Silence is the inner act of surrender, of trust, of letting God be God. We often use noise to drown out noise, to escape pain, to avoid our anger, to hide from our deepest fears. But that only deals with the symptom. It does not reach the root. It does not heal. Transformation is learning to be still, to sit with our pain, to face our anger, to bring our deepest fears into the light of God's presence. That is where true spiritual growth happens. That is where the real work of the soul takes place. Solitude is not empty. It is full of God, full of clarity, full of restoration. It is the water station on the spiritual marathon. It replenishes, it renews, it strengthens. Without it we collapse, we run dry, we grow weary. But with it, with even a few minutes of intentional stillness, even a few moments of silence before God, we are restored. We are strengthened. We are refilled with life. So take it seriously. Guard it, protect it, schedule it, even if it feels impossible, even if the world says you cannot stop. Step aside, close the door, turn off the noise, sit still, be present with God, listen, wait, let Him speak, let Him restore, let Him pour life back into your soul. Solitude is not optional. It is essential. It is the lifeline of your spiritual life. Remember this. Jesus said yes to solitude. He made it central to His life. If the Son of God prioritized alone time with the Father, how much more should we? How much more do we desperately need to stop, to be still, to listen, to let God speak, to let Him heal the places we cannot fix, to let Him renew the places that are worn down by hurry and noise. Solitude is the secret of a life fully alive, a life anchored in Him, a life that will not collapse under the pressures of the world, and let God be with us, so that new life can emerge in and through us. Truth is this: whenever our outer world is growing, whenever success is increasing, whenever responsibilities and opportunities multiply, that is exactly when we need to pay even more attention to our soul, to our inner life, to our relationship with God. And yet this is rarely the common practice. Dr. Henry Cloud calls this the human condition. We ignore our internal life, we neglect the heart, and as a result our external life, the life we long for, the life we hope to experience, falls short. We may achieve, we may produce, we may accomplish, but if our soul is not cared for, all of it feels hollow. John Ortberg says it beautifully: if your soul is healthy, no external circumstance can destroy your life. If your soul is unhealthy, no external circumstance can redeem your life. Pause and feel that. The outer world cannot fix the inner emptiness. The success, the approval, the achievements, they are powerless unless your soul is alive, unless your heart is tended, unless God is central. Ruth Haley Barton adds this important truth: times of solitude and silence are not times for judging, meaning ourselves. They are not times for criticism or condemnation. They are times for noticing. Solitude is not about beating yourself up. It's not about measuring yourself against the world's standards. It's about noticing. Noticing the thoughts that run in your mind, the fears that linger in your heart, the hopes that are waiting to be nurtured. And here is the reality, friends. You may not like everything you notice about yourself in those moments. That's okay. That's why you come to God. That's why you carve out the time. You come to meet the Lord so that He can do His work in your life, so that He can bring His love, His grace, His perspective, His peace. That is why we take the time for solitude. Time and solitude remind us of who we truly are. We are not our successes. We are not our production. We are not our accomplishments. None of that defines us. None of that secures our value. Time alone with God reminds us of the eternal truth, that we are God's children, His beloved, His sons and daughters, that He loves us, that we are His, not because of what we do, but because of who He is. Solitude is where we reclaim that identity, where we hear the quiet whisper of God saying, "You are mine. You are loved. You are cherished." It is where the distractions of the world fade, where approval, recognition, and pressure fall away, where we are reminded it is not about who you impress, it is not about how much you achieve, it is about being fully, utterly, completely God's. Start small, even 10 minutes a day. Begin consistently. Show up. Invite God to meet you there. Start early in the morning. While it is still dark, there is something powerful about the quiet of those hours. When the world is still sleeping, when the distractions have not yet clambered in. But it does not have to be only early in the morning. You can carve out time at any moment. The point is presence. The point is attention. The point is letting God be God. Solitude is not empty. It is full of God, full of clarity, full of restoration. In these moments, the soul breathes, the heart heals, the spirit is renewed. You begin to understand who you are, not who the world says you should be, not what you have accomplished, not what others think of you, but who God says you are. So start small, show up faithfully, pay attention, notice yourself, notice your heart, notice God's presence, let Him speak, let Him work, let Him restore, let Him renew. That is where the real life begins. That is where your inner world aligns with your outer life. That is where God's new life emerges in and through you. You don't have to wait for the perfect moment. You don't have to carve out hours at a retreat. You can start right where you are. Maybe it's during your lunch break. Maybe it's after the kids go to bed. Maybe it's on your commute home from work. Just take 5 or 10 minutes. Just say, "God, will you meet me here?" And then be silent. Be still. Just be quiet. The Bible promises this to us in the book of James. Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. Pause and let that sink in. The God of the universe, the creator of all things, will draw near to you. If you take even a few minutes to be present with him, if you open your heart, if you simply show up, it may feel uncomfortable at first. Your mind will wonder. Your heart will resist. You may feel restless or even impatient. That is normal. That is human. But keep showing up. Keep starting small. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and just say, God, I want to draw near to you. I'm not sure how. I don't even know what this looks like. But I want to draw near. And he will meet you there. This invitation to silence and solitude. It is not another thing to add to your to-do list. It is not a task, a goal, or a productivity hack. No. It is an invitation to step into the peace and the presence of God. An invitation to find your deepest rest, your truest joy, your soul's renewal. When you say yes to solitude, when you turn off the noise, when you step away from the crowd, when you carve out that sacred space to be with the Father, something begins to happen. Something shifts. You experience what Jesus experienced. You gain clarity. Clarity about what God has called you to do. You gain strength. Strength to face what is in front of you. Even when you feel overwhelmed. Even when you are not sure how you're going to make it, solitude gives you peace. Peace from the pressures and expectations of everyone around you. Peace from the noise, the demands, the chaos of the world. Solitude gives you confidence. Confidence that you are living the life God has called you to. Confidence that you are walking in his purpose. Confidence that your steps are guided. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be complicated. It just has to be consistent. Start with small moments. Take a few minutes in the morning before the day begins. Take a few minutes in the afternoon to breathe and refocus. Take a few minutes in the evening to reflect and rest in his presence. What matters is presence. What matters is intentionality. What matters is saying yes. Solitude is transformative. It reconnects you to God. It reconnects you to your true self. It restores your soul. It strengthens your heart. It aligns your inner life with your outer life. And the beauty is this. Even in the midst of a busy day, even when life is pressing in, even when the demands feel endless, you can find that quiet place, that secret place, that place where God's presence is tangible, that place where his love fills you. So, turn off the noise, step away from the crowd, close the door, sit quietly, be still, wait, listen, invite God to meet you. Let him speak. Let him renew. Let him strengthen. Let him guide. And in those moments, you will find clarity. You will find strength. You will find peace. You will find confidence. You will find the life that Jesus came to give. The abundant, unshakable life that begins in solitude. Say yes today. Start small. Be faithful. Make space. Protect it. Guard it. And watch as God meets you. Watch as he breathes life into your heart. Watch as he restores your soul. This is the rhythm of spiritual life. This is the lifeline. This is the secret of walking fully alive. Solitude is not optional. It is essential. And in it, God meets you. And new life emerges. In and through you.